What's going on, guys? This is JT here. In this video, we're going to be talking about an insanely fun and useful Whirlwind build with the Virthus Urge set that comes from the brand new Shoulders Inheritance, which is absolutely beast mode, man. It is called Wreck Fall. So we're going to get into that, and this is what you're going to look like when whirlwinding in the game, which is pretty insane. And just so you guys know, if you watch Whirlwind in the top left corner right here where you can see the buffs, you'll notice that we got the Urge buff from this, and it resets every time we use Whirlwind. So go ahead and look up there in the top left corner. Y'all see that Urge set? It keeps resetting over and over and over. Absolutely insane, right? So we're going to get into the build, also show you guys, is this build going to be viable for PvP, PvE? I believe it's going to be good pretty much all around the board, especially in PvE. Now remember, if you use Whirlwind as an interrupt, which you're actually allowed to do in this game, from the transfer of the chest, which is the gathering, you then can pull enemies closer, which makes Whirlwind an interrupt, which makes it very viable in PvP, and also really nice in challenge rifts for PvE as well, because when those mage come back to hit you, they get interrupted and they can no longer cast their spell, right? So the same thing works. So like if you're in a battleground and you have a wizard casting Disintegrate on you or Ice Beams, you use Whirlwind, it then pulls them in and interrupts that skill, right? So let's go ahead and go over everything that we're using for this setup. We have Lasting Hate, which increases the duration of Wrath of Berserker. Pretty self-explanatory. I believe this is going to be really good in PvP and also PvE, and the reason why I chose this helm is because basically if you're using Whirlwind, the more damage, the better, and Wrath of Berserker pretty much gives me 60% chance to crit, which is very nice. So this increases the cooldown, right? So all around, I think Wrath of Berserker is the right way to go. We also got the Gathering, which I just explained. Now the main piece of this setup is Wreck Fall Shoulders, which is Whirlwind also reduces all damage you take by 20% while channeling. So what does that mean? That means that this is a buff. Every time you cast Whirlwind, you will notice in the top left corner where the buffs show, you will see a reduction buff of 20% while channeling. And that is why Whirlwind, not only does it cast the Virthus Urge set, it also casts your Bottled Hope. And that's why you see this movement speed go from 0 to 100 real quick. You literally see Bottled Hope proc. You also see the Virthus set proc. You see the Virthus set re-procking the second we cast it. See it right there? Boom. There it is again. So very, very useful. For this setup, we also have Swift Wing, which if you guys do not know, in the recent update, Sprint now increases movement speed of nearby allies. It has always done that, but it's always been a cast in the past. Now, instead of a cast, it's an instant cast. And so I'm like, all right, well, I don't use Furious Charge with this current build. I'm going to go ahead and buff up my allies, whether I'm in a challenge rift, wherever you are, open world or BGs, we will give our opponents, or I mean our opponents, whoever's in our party, the sprint buff as well, and they'll be able to run faster too, which is very useful, right? So as far as the weapon, we have Rending Bite, which makes Lacerate now bleed. Now this is optional. You could go with Gathering with Whirlwind as well. Or not Gathering, what's it called? Eager Maelstrom. Eager Maelstrom. So you could go with this, increases the Whirlwind, increases the radius of Whirlwind, but I think for the build that I'm using, I'm going to go with Lacerate, because the more damage Lacerate gives me, the better, and my main damage is going to be coming from Lacerate with this build in PvP. Now, if I'm using this build in PvE, I'm going to be definitely switching that to the Eager Maelstrom. And for the offhand, we went with Broken Soul, which then takes, not Whirlwind, but it takes Wrath of Berserker. Instead of it doing attack speed, it now does crit hit damage, which is very nice to get that crit hit up, right? Because the more you crit, the better all around in this game. So this is the current build that I got. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going, or what all I'm going to be switching up for PvP. I'm thinking that Furious Charge is kind of a must, so I was thinking like, do we want to take Sprint off the bar and just go with Furious Charge? Because if I take Sprint off the bar, I no longer need Swift Wing, and I can actually change this to where it is the what is the name of the sprint pants? Hold on, let me just take a quick peek. That way I don't just say stuff. All right, so the sprint pants, I want to just quickly verify. It is called, where are they at? Screaming Fury. So if you change this to Screaming Fury, it then knocks people up in the air, and it changes Furious Charge to 2 strikes. So I don't know if I'm going to like the sprint build for PvP or if I'm going to go with Furious Charge. However, in my opinion, This is a pretty sweet build for PvE, hands down, and the only thing I would actually change for PvE is make this the Eager Milestorm, and then this is probably one of the best, fastest farming PvE builds really that you can have. I mean, you're moving insanely fast, you know what I mean? However, actually, you know what? Eager Milestorm does slow you down a little bit. I still think it's worth the gather, though. I still think it's going to be worth the gather in PvE, just because gathering everything up is so freaking demanding. Plus, you also still get the Virthus Urge proc non-stop. Anyway, guys, hope y'all enjoyed the video. Good luck getting the new shoulders at Wrecking. They are pretty fun to play around with, and also, I think this build is going to be pretty sick in PvP. I'm going to be definitely using it today in PvP. If you want to come watch your boy on Twitch at twitch.tv/JTisAllBusiness. Anyway, guys, I am out of here for now. Remember to play around with this build, man, because like I said, it puts the Virthus up there, and you can just keep refreshing your Virthus every single time you Whirlwind, which is pretty nuts, because every time you Whirlwind, you get that increased attack speed by 30%. Anyway, guys, I am out of here for now. Peace out, fellas.